Just nod when we're rolling. Okay, so I just got done having a pretty interesting conversation with the dog's guardians about why the dogs are doing the different behaviors they want. And in my opinion, it's really just because the dogs don't have any rules. I've now a lot of times this comes because the lack of rules gives the dog the impression we have the same authority as them. The guardian just stopped, but while she was taping this, she was reaching over and petting her dog. Now, petting our dog is a good thing. It actually, if a dog voluntarily looks you in the eyes, and you voluntarily, you don't entice, it actually releases serotonin or oxytocin into your brain, which is the love drug. But it has to be voluntary. So when it comes to petting our dogs, a lot of us pet our dogs, I hate to say too much, because there's no such thing, but we pet our dogs with no structure. Now, it's important, and I mentioned this off camera, but anything that a dog is doing when you pet it is what you are reinforcing. I have a lot of clients where I get to the door, and the dog is lunging at me, and they're like, this is David, he's here to help you. And they think that they're calming and placating the dog, and the dog is actually getting, like, I'm getting affection because I'm being aggressive towards this new human. So I consider petting a dog our way of paying the dog. Right now, the humans in this house are paying the dogs for doing whatever they want, so the dogs do whatever the heck they feel like doing. And they get upset when the humans actually disagree or try to correct. So instead of petting the dog, and I'll film this right here. Right? So that's taking territory. Now, you said that Carl didn't listen. Carl did listen a little bit though. Now, before I get back to this, I'm going to go through this, and I'm going to handle this real quick.
I'm so glad. God.
But so Carl listened.
Carl did. Now, in case he nips me,
Carl.
that's all right. In case he wants to nip at me, I'm using a pillow. Here we go.
You say off.
In that case, I'm not going to say anything because he just wasn't going to listen. He was just all worked up.
Yeah.
So he was being possessive over the location, and so I took the location away from both of them. Neither one of you were the leader. So as soon as he's down the floor, notice he stopped snarling. Now Carl's also a little bit further away, but Carl was just the same distance as he was over here, and he was snarling. So now once I move away, he's going to jump back on the couch,
Yes.
but right there. So did he show his teeth a little bit? And that's a warning. There's nothing wrong with that. It's a healthy warning. All right, let's go back to our original positions and we'll talk about this. Petting our dog, actually, I'll continue. Petting our dog is our way of paying them. So how often do the dogs nudge us with their nose or scratch at us or jump on our lap when they want attention? That's pretty common, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so then we pet the dog. So these dogs don't have any rules, number one, and then they get to tell the humans what to do, and the humans follow the rules. So clearly the dogs are in charge. So what I would do, instead of petting the dog when it nudges me, and so now we have, let's shoot this. Now we have two dogs that a minute before were growling because of the same proximity, and now have relaxed because, hey, he kicked me off the couch. Maybe it was my bad behavior that got me off the couch. So maybe I should just shut up and enjoy being on the couch. And that's what we got here. All right, so next time your dog nudges you or scratches at you, give the dog a counter order. Tell it to sit. As soon as it sits, start petting it under its chin and say the word sit. Now, most humans, well, at least most Americans, talk way too much to their dog. They tell the dog to sit, and the dog sits there like, oh, what a good dog, Carl, you sat down. Well, dogs learn through association. So you should say the command word as an order, and then as you provide a reward or affection. In that case, if I say, oh, Carl, what a smart dog, you sat down, I didn't even say the command word when I got to the reward phase. So the more we talk to our dogs, sometimes the more confusing it gets for them. So when the dog sits, I pet it and say sit. When it lays down, I pet it and say I say crash. I come up with fun command words. If I want it to run, I say charge. So, and then every time I'm petting the dog, I'm saying that command word and nothing else. So what I would recommend you guys do, and this is probably hardest for your dad, is to stop petting the dogs completely. Do not pet your dogs anymore unless they do something to earn it first. Asking the dog to sit or lie down is really a pretty small thing. I mean, it's literally about the smallest thing we could possibly ask them to do. But sitting and laying down are more subordinate body postures. So if we just get the dog to associate or orientate itself in a sit, it's saying, hey, I have respect for you. And it introduces the concept of I can no longer tell the human what to do. I can ask. But if I want to get what I want, I have to pay for it. And my currency is obedience.
How about when on your lap? Are they not allowed on your lap
No.
for this training time?
Not during the training time, and only after that when you invite them on your lap. Now, if you want to go down to their level, because we're not, one of the rules is we're not going to live on the furniture. If the human wants to go down to the dog's level, invite the dog on, that's different. Think of the furniture as the VIP section of the club. The dogs are not VIPs, the humans are. You can always go to their level, they can't go to yours. All right, getting back to petting with a purpose. Asking your dog to sit and then petting it for sitting. After a while, what will happen is instead of scratching you or nudging you, the dog's going to come and sit in front of you and say, look, I'm sitting. Shouldn't you be paying attention to me? And the answer is yes, at least some of the time. Now, after you get good at this, you can use a hand signal to get your dog to actually sit. Carl. Sit. So when I go like this over a dog's head, the way their anatomy is, it puts them into a sit. If you just get used to doing this hand motion, after a while I could be having a conversation with a human here and put the dog into a sit here and have two conversations simultaneously. Every time you do this, you help the dog see and identify you as being the authority figure. Now, if you think about this, we're going to pet our dogs hundreds of thousands of times over.
Mom, don't repeat the command 3 times.
That's all right. We'll work on that off camera. So what we want to do is get in a habit, and the more that we do it, the easier it will be. And the dog, we won't have to say it 3 times. The dog will sit right away. Now, what will happen eventually is the dog will lay down like he did right there. Now, if he sits or lays down, within 3 seconds of them doing it, if we pet them and say the command word, after a while they will do that on command. So even if your dog doesn't know how to lay down, if every time it lays down at your feet, you pet it and say crash,
But
after a while, it will start laying down after you say the word crash.
but if he's sitting in front of me, can I
If he's
reward
already
him?
sitting, ask him to lie down or ask him to come and sit over here. So always ask him to change his state before we pet them. Now, here's the thing. We have 3 people that live here and 3 dogs. Now, I had literally one client where I was telling her I was going through this exact soliloquy with her. And her dog's right here. I'm like, so I'm going to ask you to stop petting your dog. She's like, okay. And then I'm like, okay, so and now on, I don't want you to pet your dog unless, in the middle of saying, I don't want you to pet your dog, 3 times in 15 seconds, she reached over. She didn't even realize there was a disconnect. So what I would suggest you guys do is if you come in the room and you see the dog is standing and one of the other humans is petting him, say, paycheck. And that human has to immediately stop petting and then ask the dog to sit. As soon as the dog sits, they can pet him and say sit, and then you can say, you know what, Dad, I actually asked her to sit before you came in the room. She just stood up and I continued to pet her. But if you argue about it, now the dogs say, well, everybody's on our own page, I can be on my own page too. But if you come in and you say paycheck and immediately the hands go up, ooh, they're synced up.
Okay.
Petting with a purpose is the easiest thing that you can do that will have the biggest return on investment. If you get in the habit of doing that hand motion, after a while, you don't even think about it. But every time you do this, it's a mini dog obedience training session you do without spending any time or any effort. It is truly a gift that I'll give you if you guys can get in a habit. It'll take a week, but making it, and if you find yourself petting the dog, sit, and then pet it and say sit. That's petting with a purpose.